A huge win for the ACU football team evens its season record heading into the home finale. I'm Shani Morosky.
And I'm Grant Boone. We'll look back on that home away from home victory and see how the Cats plan to drive the Demons out of Shotwell Stadium today. It's the Ken Collums Show right now. Welcome to Week 11 of the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. From the JMC Network studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University, I'm Grant Boone, joined by ACU junior Sharon Morosky and the head coach of the ACU football Wildcats, Ken Collums. Last Saturday in Plano, Texas, 52-35, ACU knocked off Coach, your alma mater, Central Arkansas. You had no quarterback, no starting quarterback. You didn't have, 9 of your normal contributors. You're playing against your alma mater. All that stuff wrapped into one, and boom, you come out and you beat the team that's tied for first in the conference by 17. I saw you after the game. You looked spent.
Yeah, and it was a good day. The cards were stacked against us. Numbers wise, we're hurt. Of course, everybody's hurt, but we're missing 9 guys that are significant guys. Not to mention my starting quarterback, but. Cade Munden stepped up, and it's a really good day when you beat an upper tier team in your league. But it was also a good day for me to beat the UCA Bears.
Yeah, it was.
All right, coming off such an emotional win, how do you plan to take on another tough team this weekend?
Well, you do it by blue-collar work. I mean, that's what you can't. It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. That's just kind of a rule. And when you lose, it's not that bad. You get to work and you win the next. And when you win, you know what? Sometimes it's not all that good. So get back to work and prepare yourself. You put together a good week, and you build a resume where you can go out there on Saturday and have a chance to win.
All right, we will look at that game against the Northwestern State Demons a little bit later on today, a little bit later on in our show. But when we come back, we'll look back at that huge 52-35 victory over the Central Arkansas Bears. You're going to want to see these highlights. Glad you're with us on the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. No starting quarterback, no D-line depth, no problem for ACU last Saturday in Plano. With a look back at that huge 52-35 win over first-place Central Arkansas, here's Daniel Zepeda.
With quarterback Parker McKenzie out with a concussion, redshirt freshman Cade Munden made his first career start as ACU took on one of the best teams in conference, Central Arkansas. The run game and defensive turnovers would be the main stories for ACU as they compile 286 yards on the ground and force 7 turnovers against UCA. The Bears came into the game in Plano with only 1 loss in conference play, while the Wildcats looked to end their 2-game losing streak. UCA would take over the ball to start the game and would soon grab a 7-0 lead with this 14-yard run from running back Willie Matthews. The Wildcats would strike back on this fake handoff as Munden finds tight end Jonathan Parker to tie things up. ACU would force a fumble on the tackle by LaMarcus Allen and the recovery by Justin Stevens to take over at the UCA 37-yard line. Munden and the offense would take the ball and score again, this time on a 7-yard pass from Munden to tight end Noah Cheshire, putting ACU up 14-7. The Wildcats would score 21 unanswered points in the first quarter as Munden finds his 3rd tight end touchdown of the game with Jamie Walker, making it 21-7 ACU after the first quarter. In a 4th-and-1 situation, UCA goes for it, but Stevens picks off the ball in the end zone for the Wildcats to keep the momentum with the home team at John Clark Stadium. The Bears cut the deficit to 7 with this touchdown pass to Dominique Thomas, making it 21-14 ACU. Munden excelled at running the ball all game long, providing a deadly dual-threat attack for the Wildcats. He carried the ball 20 times for exactly 100 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on the afternoon. Running back DeAndre Brown, who did most of his damage running the ball, shows off his arm with a touchdown pass to Walker to put ACU up 38-21 with just under 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter. But every time UCA would try to cut the deficit below 10 points, the Wildcats would come up with a big play. Here, Jonathan Epps makes his second interception of the game and takes it all the way back to the house to spark the crowd and give ACU a comfortable 45-28 lead halfway through the fourth quarter. Central Arkansas quarterback Ryan Howard completes this 30-yard touchdown pass to Desmond Lewis to cut the score 45-35. But the Wildcats would put the nail in the coffin here as Munden scores his second rushing touchdown of the game and fifth touchdown for the entire afternoon. The Wildcats had a lot of players step up in the team's biggest win of the season. Brown finished with 171 rushing yards, and Jamie Walker led the team with 3 catches for 22 yards and 2 touchdowns. The offense only passed the ball 9 times for 53 yards, ACU's lowest passing output since 2009. But the defense was one of the main stories as Angel Lopez and Blake Rudd each recorded 10 tackles, and Rashad Wembley led the defense with 2 sacks.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. Final score 52-35, ACU over Central Arkansas. Coach, you went into the game knowing that you had Cade Munden making his first career start, and he comes in not only in his first start, but down 7-0, the first time he gets the ball. Very first play of the game I thought was important looking back. You hand off to DeAndre Brown. He goes 12 yards for a first down. It's kind of like, okay, exhale. We're going to get some first downs here. We're going to be able to move the ball. Later in that drive, Cade runs himself 31 yards down into the red zone. Give me a sense of what you were seeing early on from Cade.
Well, first of all, Central Arkansas's offense, we knew they were efficient. They converted several third downs on that very first drive. So, we knew defensively we were going to be able to get them in those third downs. You got to get some third down stops, and they're very efficient. So, with that being said, we know we've got to be able to run the ball. So we start from the very first snap. We're trying to run DeAndre, trying to mix in some runs with Cade, and a few play actions when we get down there closer to the goal line. And the fact is we were able to run the ball, and we were able to run the ball early. We were able to run the ball late, and we weren't just ripping off chunks left and right, but we were running the ball efficiently. I always talk about just be efficient, be effective running the ball. You don't have to rush for 300 yards or 250 or whatever. Just do it efficiently and effectively. And that was the plan. And to mix in DeAndre at quarterback it really worked out well. They didn't have answers for it, so it worked out great.
And there was some new stuff you put in with Cade, some stuff that you guys haven't run before.
Sure, and it was within what we do, but it was just a little twist on it. You can't just create another offense for a guy, but we do a whole lot offensively, and our offense is so vast, so we can pick and choose and tailor the thing toward the players that you have.
Okay, so he ran it great, 20 times for 100 yards, following up John David Baker's 100-yard plus performance last year against a little tougher competition for Cade Munden. Yeah. But it was his arm that got you into the end zone. 3 first-quarter touchdowns. And, Coach, a couple of them were off play action. They were all off play action. A couple were the rollouts to the right and you hit the fullback and tight end, which we've done a lot through the years. But one of them was a bullet he threw to Jamie Walker that turned into a touchdown.
That's right. The last time we've thrown a touchdown on that play was against Georgia State. Oh. Very similar part of the field. Jamie does a really good job. It's a double move. He's one-on-one with the safety, and he always gets open on that. And Cade was in a rhythm and threw a strike. That was a beautiful play.
Really interesting. You guys trailed 17-0 in each of the previous 2 games, at McNeese, at Sam Houston State. Here you're up 21-7. Well, then they get a touchdown, 21-14. You come right back and you get another touchdown with Cade taking it in himself. So in the first half of his first career start, he's got 3 touchdowns throwing and 1 rushing. From that point on, Coach, they never got back within 1 score of you. That's a credit a lot to what your offense did, but, Coach, your defense against the #1 scoring offense in the Southland and against the 7th highest scoring team in all of FCS football, it may not look as great as I think it was. 450 yards, 35 points. One of those touchdowns was late, but your team took the ball away 7 times against a team that came in #1 in the league in turnover margin. That was amazing.
Yeah, a lot of this focus was on our offense. How are we going to do without Parker McKenzie. And we had a consistent plan, and we worked that plan. Coach Young did a great job with the plan and getting everybody ready. But really, the story was our defense. UCA's offense is explosive. They can score points on any play. And we knew they were going to make yards. They're going to get first downs. They're going to keep the ball a little bit. But what you don't know is, can you pressure them into turning over the football? And we got enough pressure on their quarterbacks. They held the ball long enough for us to get to them. And Terry Osborne just robbed a guy, two different guys twice. He had the ball, so he said, you know what, I'm going to take that from you, and we're going the other way with it. And that's great coaching, but those are guys that are honed in to just defensive football, and that's what you need against a great offense.
One of the biggest plays in the game was one of those turnovers. You're up by 10, they're driving fourth quarter, and it takes us to our play of the game. Jonathan Epps, who's been all over the field, he may have driven the bus home for all I know, picks this pass off, and watch where he goes with it. I think he must have run 150 yards all told.
Yeah, once Jonathan gets in the open field, he's gonna make 3 or 4 moves within the first 10 or 15 yards, and then he's out. He's a guy who can make cuts, make breaks at a high rate of speed, and everybody can't do that, but Jonathan Epps can, and he is one of the most selfless players that I have. We signed him as a receiver. He plays receiver for us, but he also is a really good corner, and he plays offense, defense, and is a return specialist. So he has a high value to this team.
So 7 takeaways all told. Could have been more.
It could have.
There were a couple that were balls rolling.
They could have been 9 very easy.
Without question. Yeah, and Coach, you mentioned Terry Osborne. Here's a guy you had to throw into the mix probably earlier than you would have liked, the freshman from John Tyler High School. I thought he grew up on Saturday. He gave up a couple of plays, but I think he made more good plays than he gave up. What do you think?
Yeah, these last 3 games against these 3 opponents, he has grown up because he's looking across and he sees those receivers, and they're all about 6'2".
Yeah.
Some of them are 6'4", and he's not. So he's got to turn up. He's got to turn it up a little bit, and he is a hot competitor. Very coachable player, has some defensive instincts. So we're glad we've got him. He's going to be a good player for us.
Huge win, 52-35 ACU over Central Arkansas. As we go to break, take a look at scores from last week around the Southland Conference, brought to you by University Park Apartments. Battle of the Piney Woods went to Sam Houston State over Stephen F. Austin, and now the Bearcats are tied for first place in the Southland. Stay with us here on the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show. As the Wildcats play their last home game of the season, it's the last game in Shotwell for a lot of players. Here with me is Angel Lopez, Blake Rudd, and Justin Stevens. Okay, Angel, going into today's game, as I just mentioned, it's your last home game as a Wildcat. Emotionally, what are you feeling like today?
I think I'm feeling a lot of emotion. I'm trying to treat it like a regular game, just go out and play and ball out. I'm just trying to lead the team and lead the defense, kind of get them hyped and start a fire underneath them. But, I'm kind of ready for it to end a little bit. My body's hurting. And at the same time, I don't want it to end. It's bittersweet. It's something I've done all my life. The camaraderie with these guys, you can't beat that, They're like family. It's going to be sad to send them away and go off on my own. But it'll be a good one last hurrah back at home, and hopefully a lot of people show up.
Justin, all of you guys have been here for a long time. 4 years ago, you were in the Lone Star Conference and went to the playoffs, went 11-1, and now this year you're Division I in the Southland, and you get to play at some awesome places like the Georgia Dome, and you get to get some pretty big wins. UCA and Troy both jump out. Just talk about that roller coaster through these years.
Well, any football team going on a roller coaster, it's fun sometimes, then other times it's not. And you always want to be like this on the roller coaster. You never want to go down. And I feel like the Wildcats have had that type of season. But going in later on, once we start getting recruits and stuff like that, and the purple and white are going to be going up the whole time, and it's going to be scary playing the Wildcats on Saturday. So,
Good. All right, Blake. Something Coach makes sure to stress to anybody he talks to is he wants his guys to graduate as good, godly men and as good future husbands and dads. How does that resonate with you as you are getting ready to go out into the real world?
Yeah, ACU's, special place. He talks about that a lot, and just that we get the opportunity to come here and get poured into and invested by the coaches. And that's something that's just really special. And for me, it's prepared me to be a better man and to be a better person. And so, it's something that we're fortunate and thankful for.
All right, Angel, again, all of you guys are about to graduate. How has it been with all of these new guys, on defense especially?
Oh, man, those guys come out and play. We got a lot of talent. I think the biggest thing with this recruiting class is, they're already ready to play. They don't need a year to gain weight or a year to get faster or anything. And, these guys are just physically athletic and they're ready to go out and play. It's just they got to be prepared mentally. They got to kind of see the approach to the game at the college level. So, I'm really looking forward to coming back in the next couple of years and watching guys like, Terry Osborne, Bryson Gates, Damon Howard come out and play, and these young guys, because, they're fearless out there, and they really buy into Coach Doolin's type of defense. We're out there, we're just relentless. We don't care about our bodies, that type of thing, which also goes back to why I'm kind of ready for it to end. My body hurts. So
understandable. Yeah. All right, now, anybody who wants to jump in, what is your favorite memory here?
I think our favorite memory here, or mine, is after we beat Troy or Central Arkansas in the locker room. Everybody was hooping and hollering, and I won't tell you guys what goes on because you got to be part of our family to know what goes on in there. But
it was wild.
Anytime you make a team give you the football 7 times is unbelievable.
Yeah. We were out there after the game. We heard a lot of excitement in there.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. Well, thanks for joining me. As football gets ready to close out their season, basketball is just starting. Here's Hannah Little with more.
Thanks, Shara. The men and women's cross-country teams competed at the Southland Conference Championships this past weekend in Louisiana. Sophomore Diana Garcia-Munoz recorded a personal best 6K time of 20 minutes, 59.2 seconds. Munoz placed 5th out of 92 competitors. The women's team placed 5th and scored 70 points better than last year. For the men's team, senior Daniel Block was the Wildcats' top finisher as he ran a season-best time in the 8K. The men's team placed 9th out of 13 teams. The women's basketball team will begin its season November 15th with a home game against Wayland Baptist University. Sydney Shellstead is a leader for the team this year and talks about just what can be expected from this group of girls.
I think it's going to be a lot better. We play Tech, Kansas State, and then we get to play the entire conference. Last year we didn't get to play everybody twice. So this year we did get to play everybody twice, so I'm kind of excited, to come back and beat some of the teams that, we fell short to by, 2 or 3 or 5 points. So I'm excited to come back and be good in Southland Conference.
Men's basketball will also open its season next week with a game at home against Hillsdale Baptist University. The game will be on November 14th and will be the start of a successful season. Head coach Joe Golding previews what's in store for the first game after finalizing fall practices.
It's been going good. We're on practice 24 tomorrow, so we've completed 23 practices. We're way further along than any point we were last year. I really like the way this group is working. We've had one closed scrimmage last Saturday, and we'll have another closed scrimmage this Saturday in Dallas, and then obviously next week we get started up.
Thank you for watching the JMC Network Sportscast. See you next week. I'm Hannah Little.
It'll be interesting to see how the basketball teams do this season. When we come back, we'll preview the Northwestern State game. Stay with us here on the Ken Collums Show.
Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Take a look at today's schedule around the Southland Conference and pay attention there to McNeese State at Stephen F. Austin. There are 3 teams with 1 loss in the conference. McNeese is one of them. They have the toughest road. They have the game against Stephen F. today. Then next week, they go on the road to take on Southeastern Louisiana. Coach, McNeese and Stephen F. Stephen F., just 2 losses in the conference. That should be a good one.
Stephen F's playing well, but McNeese is a fine ball team now. Stephen F will have to play well to beat him.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about today's game at Shotwell Stadium. ACU takes on Northwestern State's Demons. It is senior day today. It's also Military Appreciation Day. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But, Coach, this is a Northwestern State team that when you take out a blowout loss to Baylor, which just about any FCS team would have, this is a tough team to get a handle on. They really have been in virtually every game. The only one besides Baylor they weren't in late was a game against Central Arkansas a couple of weeks ago. They got rolled pretty good by the Bears, 58-35. But last week, how about this? They hold McNeese State scoreless in the second half. They get the ball back. They were down 35-3 at halftime. They got the ball back with a chance to tie that game at 35. This is a quality crew, isn't it?
Right, and when they're playing well, they're really tough to beat. They've got all the ingredients to be a team to go out and have a chance to win every single Saturday. And when they're in a groove, I mean, they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna throw the ball. They got a fine quarterback who can sit back there, and if there's enough space between him and the pressure, he's gonna throw strikes. Yeah. And defensively, you know, they've got enough guys to be able to put heat on you. They try to show you some different looks and blitz you when they need to, and put a little pressure on your quarterback. And so we better play well. I mean, they've beaten Louisiana Tech. They've beaten Sam Houston. I mean, you can't just luck up and do that.
Yeah, that's right.
So Jay does a good job there, and they're a fine team coming in here to Shotwell, and we'll have to play well for all 4 quarters to beat them. We talk about that every single week, how we've done the 3.5 quarter deal, and it hadn't worked out for us. But when we play 4 quarters of quality football, we're a good football team.
All right, now looking at this week. First, last week, Parker was out with a concussion. Cade Munden started, had a pretty good game, I'd say, 100 yards. And then DeAndre in the Wildcat offense. What can we expect today from the offense?
Well, how about Cade Munden last week? I mean, that's crazy. Who thought, hey, 3 touchdowns passes in the first quarter, and he's going to end up running for 100 yards. We knew this. We knew Cade was going to come in and play well. We weren't going to ask him to do a ton. We're going to manage our run game, make the throws when we ask you to make them, and then run the ball. We don't ever ask our quarterbacks to run the ball, but he did, and he got in a little groove out there and made some really nice runs. So, you know, this week we'll still use him. Parker McKenzie will be back. He'll have the reins of this deal. So we'll look a little bit more normal, I would think. But you know, our offense expanded last week, and you cannot discount what Cade did when he went in at quarterback, and DeAndre also. So we've added some flavor to our offense, and we think that'll really help us in the long run.
I'm trying to count how many quarterbacks have thrown touchdowns for ACU this year. You got Parker McKenzie, Cade Stone, now Cade Munden, DeAndre Brown has thrown them. Can't wait to see you're going to have throw one this week. That'll be fun. All right, let's go to the other side of the ball. Ed Egan just set a single game high this year in the Southland Conference of 238 yards receiving for Northwestern State in their rally against McNeese that came up just 7 points short. You mentioned Zach Adkins earlier, really good quarterback, and they love to throw the ball. Now, they've been forced into some situations where they've had to throw it, like last week when they got down 35-3 at halftime. But Egan, he's another one of these really good receivers that we've seen a whole bunch of lately in the Southland Conference.
That's right, and you know, Northwestern, they want to throw the ball, but it's not just, hey, let's throw the ball to do it. They do a good job of getting him matched up where he can win those one-on-ones, and he's a good player. And their quarterback, if you give him enough time, he's going to put it on the money. So we know that, and to stop that, that's the key. And everybody knows that when you're going into a game. But they don't leave him in one spot. They'll move him around, and we've got to stay within what we do defensively, not try to change things, not get all freaked out because a guy has a ton of yards the previous week. But it comes down to football, blocking, tackling, throwing, and catching. We've got to put pressure on their passer, compress the pocket, and compress those running lanes in order to slow that offense down. It's a good offense.
Yeah.
Right. As Grant mentioned earlier, it's a special day for a lot of these guys. It's senior day. Is this game tough, but also exciting for these guys?
When you put in as much time as these guys have, and it's like this all over the place, but what these guys experience here is different. They've gone through 4 and 5 years of the football, of the academics, but of the manhood training that we take them through. And they are what they are as husbands and fathers in training right now. And they're when they're through with this last game, they almost can put their stamp and go, you know what, I'm done with the football part. But then, you know what, I've got a lot to look forward to because what I've learned here is going to propel me for the rest of my life. And so there'll be a lot of that going on. And yeah, it's a football game, but it's way more than that here because there's a whole lot to reflect on. When you're through with something and you sit back and look back on it and reflect, that's when you learn to appreciate it even more. So that's what these guys are about to go through, and I'm so pleased with this group of seniors.
Another reminder that this is just a game, important, but still just a game. It's Military Appreciation Day, and with Dias being right here in Abilene, Coach, I know that's an important part of our community,
no doubt,
isn't it?
no doubt. And we are so grateful for all that they do, and just being right here, almost hands-on. We'll go out there and do football camps, basketball camps, and we try to interact as much as we can. But in the news all the time, you're always mindful of what's going on, and you're just grateful that these guys are here.
Should be a lot of fun today. The final home game of the 2014 season. ACU hosts Northwestern State's Demons. You got a 5-5 ACU team, a 4-5 Northwestern State team, very evenly matched. Should be a lot of fun out there. The kickoff is at 2 o'clock. I'll have the pregame show with former ACU head coach Bob Strader on the ACU radio network at 1:30. That's 98.1 FM in Abilene on the radio and around the world on ACUsports.com. Senior Day, Military Appreciation Day. Hope you can make it out to Shotwell if you can't join us on the air. For ACU junior Sharon Nemorowski and for the head coach Ken Collums, I'm Grant Boone. Enjoy the game today, and thanks for watching the Ken Collums Show presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. We'll see you next week.